Neko, we're here at beautiful Rock Creek on top of this amazing start gate that you guys built for this past season. Dude, how was Downhill Southeast last year? And we were not here for the 2024 season.
Yeah, 2024 was great. I feel like we've got a well-oiled machine. It gets a little better every year. We had some new scheduling things last year. We went Snowshoe twice on different sides of the mountain, which I think was pretty cool. It's always a favorite. And we didn't make it to Rock Creek because we had national champs and pro downhill series. And we try to work closely with all of the other race series going on to give the best total schedule for the year. Instead of just looking at our race as like a narrow vision calendar, we try to incorporate everything from the beginning to the end of the season to work as best as it can for the riders. So excited to be back here at Rock Creek to start the season. We're gonna get it underway here in about a month.
Nice. With your position in the downhill industry, let's say, is it easier for you to choose these schedules because you kind of have like some backdoor info on kind of how the following year is going to look, or are you just kind of blindly throwing dates out sometimes?
No, definitely. It's definitely an educated guess.
Okay.
I try to get it out early, and with that, there's always the risk that other bigger events are going to come in and schedule over you. But I always think it's best to get the schedule out early, and if you have to make one little change, it's better to make that change later than wait around. Especially in the Southeast, we start pretty early. It's January, it's super nice out right now. So
Yeah, dude, like you're probably warm now because you've been doing laps, but here I am in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the overall schedule, I think years past, we've usually started in March at TTC. We're starting off a month earlier here at Rock Creek. And then how do you kind of figure out like which venues to go to when?
Yeah, so scheduling is probably honestly the hardest part of it all. At least with a series of our size, it's not like a lot of crazy TV deals or sponsor conflicts or anything. For the most part, the agreement and the operating agreement to go to these venues is pretty straightforward. It's just finding a date that works for everybody.
Yeah.
So in a general sense, I avoid holidays, avoid other events, try to give 2 to 3 weeks between each race. Like one per month would be ideal. Mm-hmm. For people that are following our series, it's just nice to not go back to back. You know, They've got other stuff to do, families. Most people are doing this at a hobby level down in Southeast anyway. So we try to make it as accessible as possible. And then, trying to avoid, like I said, other big events going on. So I try to go to the warmer venues, let's say, like the southernmore venues in the early season, because let's face it, early spring is a nicer time to be in these places than the middle of summer. And then going to the places that are more in the high country, like Snowshoe or Beech, try to put those events more in the summer where it's nice to get up to the high altitude and it's a little cooler up there.
Windrock was brutal last year.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but it was like the weekend that made the most sense that we could do it. So try to avoid that when we can, but just try to balance everything out and make the best choice.
Well, cool. So let's talk about venues and tracks. We are here at Rock Creek, like we said. You've already posted like a course overview of the Cat 1 Pro and the 2-3 course. And you've got a lot of options to work with here. So what was your kind of starting point when it comes to like making routes for Downhill Southeast, but also we have the Pro Downhill Series coming up?
Yeah, I feel like Rock Creek, we've had so many races over the past couple years between Downhill Southeast, Pro Downhill Series, and national champs. For the most part, we run the Stampede track for the pros all the time, and I've gone through and kind of changed the line around to make it new and exciting, a different challenge. But it's been that track for probably like 6 races in the past 2 years. And even myself, like I'm getting bored of it. I come out here and ride all the time as well, so I can only do so many laps down it. So for Downhill Southeast, I thought it'd be fun to, for one, change things up, but also make something that was maybe a little smoother and generally easier to start the season. The fastest guys are still going to rise to the top, but we could race a track that has some more turns and follows a little different route. So it kind of mixes the amateur downhill track, Easy A, which was originally built for collegiate nationals, mixes some of that with the pro Stampede track. So it goes back and forth about 3 times.
Okay.
We got a course preview up on the Downhill Southeast Instagram channel now, so you can watch the whole run. But yeah, that's what the track's going to be. Try to tape it as wide as we can and make it interesting. But I think it'll be fun. It's kind of one line, but when the track's like that and there's a lot of riders on it, it gets rough, gets beat up, and yeah, I think it'll be a fun first race of the season.
Nice. And the park will be open for public riding during the weekend?
Yep. I mean, obviously we'll have some trail closures due to the race, and the lift will get priority for racers, and who's riding in that practice session will get priority. But yeah, anybody can come out. The whole weekend park will be open.
Nice. And while we're talking about, since this is the first race, you still have the early bird registration going on along with the season overall purchase, right?
Yep. So new for this year, we did a season pass where you can sign up for all 6 races, and it's pretty much just the price of 5, so you get 1 free. If people are dedicated to doing the full series, we thought that'd be a cool way to give them a little discount for supporting it. And then, yeah, for all of our races, we have until 2 weeks before the race. It's $10 off, so you get a $10 discount for signing up early. Helps us to kind of get a gauge on how many people are coming. We rent a lot of the timing chips and stuff, so we try to be as prepared for how many people are coming to our party as we can.
Yeah. And then we're going to TTC for round 2, which is usually our round 1 race. Roughly about the same time of year as we're usually there. Can be a mutter, can be perfect weather. It's the gamble of TTC.
Yeah, and it is maybe like 2 weeks later than it was in 24.
Okay.
It's the same weekend as it was in 2023. But yeah, I mean, it's early season in Southeast. You can't really predict the weather, but the tracks, we were out there last month getting it ready, trying to get a head start on it. There's a couple big trees down. We wanted to get out there early and open it. And when we leaf blew the trail, you could see the tire knobs from the race 9 months before.
Wow.
So it's still in really good shape. The base is a lot harder now, so I think it'll do better with the weather.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a bunch of workout on the track. Even every year we try to widen it up and try to make some of the harder sections. It's just a pretty steep, gnarly mountain, so try to make the track, I don't think we can really make it too easy, so we try to go through and make some of the most difficult sections just wider and have at least an easier line for people.
That's one thing, like a lot of us, it's our favorite track because it's like the most fun, but also there's only one way off that cliff. And, you know, some of the Cat 2-3s that are just getting into it struggle with some of that sometimes, so that's appreciated. Yeah,
and it's one of those as well where it's pretty one line, and that line gets really rough with a bunch of fast guys racing it. So to start the weekend, it's normally okay for Cat 2-3s, and then by race time there gets to be some deep holes and ruts in the turns and stuff. So that main S-turn section that would always get chewed up in the middle, it's not that hard of a section, but in the mud it would just get to be carnage and be like a super deep rut and deep holes through it. We found a new line where it cuts off to the right and does like a natural off camber section, which I think will be cool. That S-turn would be great in the dry, but in the mud it's just...
spice level is pretty high.
It's pretty gnarly.
It's tie level 10.
Yeah.
And you guys, it looks like Sean, leader, was out there working on like the lower portion of the course, so talk us through that update.
Yeah, Sean built a really cool new finish section. The track will actually finish in a different area this year.
Oh.
It's about 500 feet up the stream from where it finished the past couple years.
Okay.
Which is the viewing area for the TKO Enduro, the big motorcycle race they have out at TTC. It's like a really nice cleared out area where the motorcycle race crosses a few times. So they park the Red Bull truck there, and they have a lot of viewing area for people to watch the motorcycles. So if we can finish it up there, give us a lot more space. TTC finish is pretty tight, so
Yeah.
it'll be nice to do that.
Still have to cross the creek to get to
Yeah,
that
it's
spot?
still on the same side. It's
Okay.
just up a little. It's basically from where the podium was. It's like behind it, like another 500 feet up.
Okay.
And Sean built a cool rhythm section down to that finish. If anybody watched it, it was in a Red Bull video with Manny Lettenbichler and Carson Brown. They used dirt bikes and hit this like rhythm section, and then did a bunch of hard enduro stuff. But that section we just tweaked it ever so slightly, and it works for the mountain bikes too.
Oh, right.
So it was pretty cool. He did it for that and kind of planned it to where it could be used for the downhill race.
Nice.
So that'll be a cool new section for TTC.
I recall T-Roy doing like a POV down the course, and I don't know if he went all the way down through that section or not.
Yeah, it should be in there.
Okay.
We have it posted on the Downhill Southeast Instagram as well.
Okay.
Just like a slow roll down the track from last month after we cleared the trees, and it shows that new last section.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. And one thing that I feel like we should touch on is round 1 and round 2 of Downhill Southeast lead us up to the Tennessee National. And from what it sounds like, a little scuttlebutt at the water coolers, there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters poking around in our area through that time. So how do you expect the pro turnout to be for rounds 1 and 2?
I'd say normally it is heavy in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, we started Downhill Southeast in the beginning as a preseason race series 10 years ago now. And the whole idea was for guys in our region who were going and racing bigger races to get a couple of preseason scrimmages under their belt before you get out there. And that's really what the first half of our series still is. And also part of why we wanted to start it earlier was to give a couple more races earlier in the season. So yeah, I think there'll be a bunch of dudes like that I've talked to coming out from the West Coast, possibly even from outside the country, coming to those first couple races. Obviously our local guys that are racing World Cups will want to do these first couple races as well. I know those first 2 will be big ones on the calendar. And yeah, they fit in really well. There's a weekend off after TTC, and then you've got the Tennessee National and the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series here, back to back, and then another couple weekends off until we get to our 3rd round.
So round 3, back at Massanutten, Land of Rocks.
Yep. And Massanutten was, they were doing a lot of work on their bike park last year after they were closed for a year, putting in a new chairlift and some new ski trails. They had some of their bike park destroyed by those new ski trails, so they were doing a ton of work. And I don't think the downhill racetracks will change a ton, but definitely they've got a bike park crew there that's freshening it up. And it's a place where, Rock Creek, guys that are racing our series, Rock Creek, Windrock, people run these tracks all season long, and they do thousands of laps on them. Massanutten's a place that most of our riders only go to for the race. So it is fun. There's not a lot that's going to be different at Massanutten, but it's a unique track. And I think also like where it's located, we get a lot of people from the Northeast. That one's at end of April, so it's before any races are going on up there. So it's kind of halfway between the North and the South, and we get a lot of people to kind of meet in the middle for that race.
Yeah. So yeah, that pops off end of April, and then a couple weeks later would be Pro Downhill Series Round 2 at Mountain Creek. And the weekend following that brings us down to Round 4 of Downhill Southeast at Windrock. So last season we had that new finish at the very bottom. Do we still anticipate that?
I wasn't there for the race. I was over in Europe that weekend, but I don't know if anybody really liked that big sprint to the end. It was also hot, so I would encourage them to try to finish it without the sprint. Can't say for sure what the track's going to be at Windrock. They're doing a ton of work out there.
Yeah.
A lot of new stuff going on. I was kind of pushing them in the Trail 1 direction because we've raced Cave Boy Caveman like the past couple years when we've been out there. I think it hasn't been since maybe 2020 or 2021 that we did Trail 1. which is a favorite of mine. So
Okay.
it'd be cool to do something over on that side of the hill for Downhill Southeast for Windrock this year.
Yeah, because Windrock also has a bunch of races going on, so it'd be nice to freshen it up with something completely different and different than what we've done the past couple years.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like normally the route for Tennessee National is Middle Finger, which is the only race of the year that uses that. And then for Downhill Southeast, like I said, we've been using the Snake Rock Caveman area the past couple years in a row now. So it'd be cool to kind of change it up and do something different. But in any case, even if we're running the similar tracks, like they are a lot different than they were last year.
Yeah.
I was riding out there last week, and the track itself is much different than the racetrack will be. So
Cool.
it's cool. They're doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Windrock's
Nice.
definitely a staple. It's the only venue that's had a race of ours every year for the past 10 years.
Yeah. We're going on season 11 though, right?
Well, this is technically season 10, but I thought it'd be cool to do the 10-year, because we started in 16, but
That's
the first year is like 0. You're 0 years old. So 16 to 26 will be like 10 years of Downhill Southeast. So maybe next year we'll pump it up a little more.
Nice. So after we knock out Windrock, we move back into the high country of North Carolina. We've not been there, and we skipped a season going up there. So we're going back to Beech. Amazing course. Moto Mike's been doing a ton of work up there on the bike park. I've been super excited to get back up there. What are your thoughts on the classic course there and how that race is going to go?
Yeah, really excited for it. The top half of that beach track is one of the most fun sections of trail. I always love riding that thing. And then the bottom, like the rock garden, is tough and it's rough, but it's a great challenge for racing. So yeah, I always love racing at Beech. Back to when we had national champs there, man, 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, it's a super fun place. New chairlifts, nice resort. I think, yeah, it'll be good. It's always good to get more. Like, I feel like this region is like where most of our riders are, anywhere from sort of Knoxville to Roanoke zone.
Yeah.
So any of the races that are in our core region are normally pretty popular, and I think Beech fits that really well. We always love going up to the high country.
Nice. And then staying with the higher elevation vibes, after Beech, we go round it off in Snowshoe for our season finale. Any insight there on which side of the mountain are we playing on, or any details like that?
I can't say for sure right now. I really liked that we got to race on the basin side last year. I think that course was pretty fun for a lot of people, and probably for the level of Downhill Southeast, it was more fun to race that track than the World Cup track. Even at the World Cup, guys are complaining how gnarly it is to fly through that rock garden on Lower Hairball. So we also have to consider that in the middle of summer, there's going to be longer lift lines on the basin side. So racing is better suited logistically to the western side. So I would tend to think we're going to race the western side. But yeah, we'll just get together with the crew from Snowshoe. They're great to work with, and we'll choose whatever's going to work out the best.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do these short little podcast updates like the week and a half prior to each race. So we'll have some better updates for each race as we start approaching them. What about your season? What's your season looking like?
So I'm transitioning to be the, I guess, team leader of the Framework squad. I've got a really good group of riders. Obviously, super lucky to have guys like Asa and Angel, and then Anna Newkirk joining our team this year.
Really awesome to see Anna join that team. A lot of people were stoked on that.
Yeah, she rips. She's probably gonna be faster than me really soon.
Will she be coming over for any Downhill Southeasts?
Not Downhill Southeast, but they'll do the Tennessee National and the Pro Downhill Series.
Okay.
Well, for them, like especially, like for Asa, he's got a lot going on. He's doing hardline. He's got other events to do. And then for Angel and Anna being based in Europe, the season gets pretty long doing all the World Cups and World Champs. So we try to make the spring as chill as we can.
Yeah.
Not rush too soon. But yeah, I'll be working at the World Cups to try to make sure that they have everything they need. And personally, I'm going to do the first couple Downhill Southeast, and I'm going to do all the Pro Downhill Series. So I think that'll be a pretty fun way to stay up to speed on the bike, give me some motivation to train, and I think it helps all around. Like, I'll be able to be more relevant with the riders on my team testing, try new stuff in a race that's not a ton on the line.
Yeah.
And then I love doing it as well, so
Yeah.
it should be pretty fun.
Right on. And frameworks updates. You guys have the Enduro frames starting to go out. Downhill frames have had a season on them with a bunch of locals and around the world. So how's everything going with that?
It's going as well as it can. We're starting out small and trying to do it in a way that, you know, we could manage ourselves. It's really just me and Logan.
Yeah.
So we managed to sell a little over 100 frames now, which is pretty cool. Always get to see people out at our bike parks or our races. Like, they're obviously, the most of them are in our region.
Yeah.
So it's always cool to see people riding them. All the customers are happy. Everybody that I talk to is thrilled to have the bike, which is, it's cool to see people enjoying them like that.
Yeah.
We're definitely not in a rush to grow too big. We pre-sell them, so we use the customer's money once they buy the frame to build their whole bike. And that is a zero risk way to do it.
Yeah.
I think we could definitely sell more if we could cut that lead time down, make it easier for people to buy them. But you see a lot of companies in trouble right now with too much stock and forecasting issues. So we're just kind of learning that. To be honest, like, sales aren't really what I did this for.
Yeah.
I wanted to start it to make the best products I could and prove that in racing. And through our race team, that's our primary focus.
Yeah.
So if we can, in a way that doesn't put us at risk, sell some frames and get some customers stoked and start to build some momentum that way, then I think, yeah, we'll figure it out and be in a good spot in a couple of years.
Nice. As we wrap this up, and we're starting to kick off the season, but at what point do you start looking at the 26th season?
I mean, already considering it, I don't think I'm going to change a ton. We obviously are always looking at how we can improve the series, looking at how we can keep things fresh and interesting. If we just copy and paste the same one, it can kind of get to be monotonous.
Yeah.
I've been to Fort William every year for the past 15 years, run over the same rock, and I can't even remember which year was which. So I don't want it to be like that for people racing our series. But there is a way that the series flows that's better than others, and we don't want to change it to make it worse. So always also looking at new venues. Like, there's only so many venues in our region that can logistically host one of our races. There may be some decent tracks, but as far as like uplift times,
That's something
parking,
a lot of people don't take into account, is like parking, uplift time, pits, just the overall logistical support of a place.
yeah, that stuff is the hardest to find, honestly. Logan's been out to Wildside to check out their venue. They're building a downhill track, and we've given them some feedback. So if they can improve some of their infrastructure, then be looking at them maybe to have a race. Honestly, open to anywhere who would be able to meet our requirements.
Yeah.
It's always fun to go to new places. So yeah, already starting to think about it, and I think the riders appreciate getting the schedule out as early as we can. So talking with other race series, mainly Pro Downhill Series, and Aaron when he's running the Tennessee National, just trying to line it up with those events. And normally they're a little bit behind where I'm at, but I try to work close enough, and honestly in a lot of cases, like, lay out everybody's races and present it to them and say, hey, here's how it could work, and then go from there. So yeah, I don't see a ton of huge changes coming to Downhill Southeast, but yeah, try to improve on everything we're doing this year.
Downhill Southeast gets brought up a lot in internet comments in positive ways. And it seems like this series is like almost like what other series look and aspire to be. So how do you keep growing it from there?
I would say, like, it's not always growth, it's improvement.
Yeah.
Like, making it, for the people who are doing it, even better. Like, if you've got an average of 350 people that come to all your races, maybe make it better for those 350 people than having more people is a good way to improve that. I think we always try to improve the media coverage of the event, like what you guys do through the race replay, through what we're able to provide the racers with photo coverage and like quick video coverage from each day. I think that stuff adds value to people that are taking our series seriously. And like, for example, Defiant, like they're a local team that probably doesn't get a ton of cash, but they get product support, and they're doing a great job for their level of team. And for a team like that, if they can, like, they won I think 3 of our races last year, and they had all of their riders on the broadcast at several rounds. That's a huge value that we can provide to them. And the more riders that we can provide that opportunity for, it can, whether they're using this as a platform to go to the next level, or they're happily racing our series as their outlet for downhill racing, the more we can provide value to them that they can then go back to their sponsors or whoever's supporting them. I think improving that is something that we constantly strive to do, and helps everybody involved. Like I said, those racers, helps the venues too. Like a lot of this coverage too, like we're bringing a lot of new faces, and more than just the faces that are at the race, people that are watching it now that aren't there get to see the venue. We try to show these venues in a really positive light. So the more we can help everybody involved with the event and have a bigger impact, I think the better it is. And keep trying to grow it on that side. We'll grow our ridership, and more kids into it, more kids see it, more kids get into mountain biking. So that's kind of the overall goal. And it doesn't necessarily need to be more people signing up today or more races. It just needs to like help the entire sport.
Sponsor wise, what are we looking at? SRAM's back on board?
Yes, renewed with SRAM, and it's mainly SRAM and RockShox from the SRAM family that they're wanting to promote. Obviously SRAM sponsored us, and we included Zip and Truvative and Time and all of their Cork and all of their brands. But for downhill, their primary focus for the next 2 years with us is SRAM and RockShox, which makes the most sense. So they're our title sponsor. They pretty much cover all the costs of the media stuff that we do. And that's a huge help. Like without that, our series is not as well seen. So it gives us a ton of exposure, and as I just said, gives the riders a ton of exposure. So huge thank you to SRAM for that. And then WD-40 is coming on pretty big this year too. They're going to be sampling their products at all of our races. So they'll have their bike clean at the bike washes. They'll have lubricants, even the OG WD-40 to hand out. I think WD-40 is just such a iconic American company that is very fitting with everything we're trying to do. So for them to get on board, they sponsor my team for a while, and Robin Bellucci, who used to race World Cups, is I don't know what his position is exactly, but he's the guy I talked to at WD-40, and he lives just out at Cedar Mountain, like 10 miles from here.
Just one holler over.
So he'll be out at the events, and it'll be really cool to have them supporting us. And then lastly, Worldwide Cyclery. Worldwide Cyclery gives a ton of prizes and gift cards to the podium riders, and they are your go-to shop for anything you need for your bike. So support Worldwide whenever you can.
And their tier of products below them, like Trail One and Kettle, like.
So Worldwide, they also have their in-house brands of Trail One, which makes, I think, just bar, stem, and grips. Maybe a couple other products too. That they often give us a ton of their product for prizes, grips, bars, good stuff, really good stuff at a good price. And then Kettle is their clothing. It's kind of like outdoor wear. It is riding gear, but it's not seen as much as like race gear. Is more like stuff you can wear every day and go mountain biking in. So
usually at the races, you'll see me in the Kettle pants and the sun hoodie, because that stuff's super comfortable even in like those like swampy hot summers.
Dude, I think these are kettle pants.
Yeah, you got the kettle britches on.
Be careful.
Yeah, so anything else you feel like you need to add?
No, I think that about covers it. Kind of just wanted to do these podcasts to give people a little bit more insight into the series. You know, sometimes you'd be spending an hour driving out to ride or on your way to the race, and we'll try to do these before each round, give any information that people might need leading up to that event. It's just helpful to listen to it and maybe clear something up for you. So yeah, we really appreciate everybody supporting the series. It's for the riders. Logan and I have been doing this, like I said, for 10 years now, and we just do it because we want to have a really good race series in our region. I think it's super important to have, and it's all for the riders.
Yeah.
So appreciate everybody. If they wouldn't come out and support it, if they didn't have that momentum, that critical mass behind it, then it wouldn't have been able to grow this quick. So
yeah, and from the Gravity Co-op side, we're super thankful for everyone clicking play on all the videos and sharing them with their friends and family and stuff. So, it takes a village, and we're here for it.
Yeah, and yeah, everybody involved, like you guys, go above and beyond. It's a small regional series, and if everybody that was working on it wasn't super passionate, then I don't think it would really happen the way that it does. So everybody that's working on the series is definitely going above and beyond to make it what it is.
Of course. Awesome. Well, thanks, Neko.
Thank you. Sweet.